Hi, just going to explore child's pose. This is a posture that's used often in yoga. Sometimes it's used as a transition between two poses, and in that case it's often suggested you have your body in a particular shape in order to make that transition easy. However, we often use child's pose as a resting pose, and the traditional ways of doing them can be very comfortable for some. However, we need to be able to relax into them, and sometimes our bodies feel uncomfortable. So I'm going to go through a range of different adaptations that you can explore to find out what works for you. So child's pose is when we come forward, knees bent, head to the floor, either traditionally with the hands out in front or with the hands back. And what I'm going to do is work through the different body parts and how they can be positioned, but always remembering that when we position one part differently, we need to be aware of the other parts of our body and how we may need to adjust those as well. So thinking about the arms, as I've said, you can have them ahead, to the side, you can bring your hands underneath your forehead, or you can have the legs apart, you can even bring them between the legs. And you'll notice that with each of these shapes, you'll notice a different area of the body being stretched. So always being aware of that, where you might want a bit more stretch or where it might be too much. With the head, you can have it on the ground, on your hands. You can use a block or a blanket, or even a combination of blanket and blocks, or cushion. So if you haven't got any props, you can always use a cushion. And again, with a cushion or a bolster, which is really nice if you've got one, you can have it, and just coming forward over the bolster, you're going to have your head forward, but you might want it to the side, and then halfway through the pose, just turning it in the opposite direction. And this can be really restful for the body. And then thinking about the hips, you can have the knees together or taking the knees apart. If you're pregnant or you just feel that your belly's really compacted when you're forward, then often it's nicer having the knees apart. With the knees, sometimes it can be quite painful coming forward if we've got sore knees. So sometimes it can help just to have a blanket underneath the shins, so that when you come forward, knees aren't actually touching the floor. If you're finding the knees pinch or it's too strong, you can always bring a blanket or just a belt folded over behind the knees. And again, that just allows the knees to be less compressed. You can also, thinking about the ankles, you can have your toes tucked under, so you're coming back towards the heel, so that's comfortable. Or you can again bring your blanket underneath the ankles, supporting the ankles, and just releasing the ankles a little bit. And really it's just working through those different shapes, but sometimes just coming forward doesn't work for us. And then it's just finding a pose that's relaxing for you. And explore these poses, these different positions of the body, and really find one that works for you, that you can really relax in. When we relax in child's pose, it can be a real sense of just drawing inwards, quite a meditative pose, just being aware of the breath and the body. So hopefully you can explore your child's pose.